So joining me now is good friend of the show and my good friend, Kris Sims from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And I wanted to have Kris on because, well, she's great. And the time together just sort of flies by, hardly feels like work. But federal budget just came out and it is a catastrophe. And the carbon tax just went up. I noticed it yesterday at the pumps. I mean, I'm paying $1.40 a liter here in Alberta, where we make the fuel. It happened immediately. And yet the federal government, they've been telling us all along in their Ponzi scheme speak that they charge us more for stuff, but we'll get more money back. None of it makes any sense. Kris, break it down for us.
And it doesn't make sense because they're not telling the truth. They're just straight up not telling you the truth. So number one, it defies common sense to think that we could give the government money and have them give us more back without us paying for it. The government does not have magical money trees or sources of income, okay? This is not an investment. They do not have a wealth generating machine under center block, okay? That's not where they're digging that big hole. So it's just on the surface of it, they think we're stupid. They think that we'll just believe that. Number two, the parliamentary budget officer, okay, which is an arm's length independent auditor, basically. All they do is go through the books and go through the numbers, has said now in 2 reports, Sheila, that that's not true. That you pay more than you get back, even with the rebates. And the way they do that, of course, is they don't just look at the pump price, like you just mentioned. I paid $1.40 in Claire's home, which is typically some of the cheapest in all of Alberta. So we already saw it. So it's not just that pump price. It's your pump price. It's what the trucker's paying for the diesel. It's what the locomotive is being filled with diesel, which is about $2,400 extra in the carbon tax, by the way. It's what the grocery store is paying to keep the place cold and hot using natural gas, all down the line. And it's even the farmer who's using propane and natural gas to dry their product. So that's why we have this massive layering effect. And then so the PBO apparently took elements like that into consideration, and they talked about job losses, all that stuff. And so in totality, here in Alberta, we're getting screwed the worst. So on average, an Alberta family is going to pay out about $710 extra this year, even with the rebates factored in. Now, why Trudeau and why Minister Guilbeault continue to say things like, you'll get more back? I don't know, because their own math is wrong. So I think this is just pure politics and messaging. They're hoping that if they repeat this big fib enough, that people will just go back to sleep and ignore him.
Yeah, if you made this claim as somebody who was starting a multi-level marketing company or an investment scheme, you would go to jail. It's a Ponzi scheme as they lay it out. You know, give us more and I'll give you more back. It doesn't make any sense. And you just mentioned the farmers there, and I see the feds are patting themselves on the back saying, oh, but we exempted the farmers from the carbon tax. On what, our fuel? What about our inputs? What about our fertilizer inputs? Everything along the way is touched by this carbon tax.
Exactly. Why? Because right now our modern world runs on oil and gas. You cannot get away from it even if you tried. So that is why we have abundant crops. That's why we're able to do just-in-time delivery. That's why most of us are able to heat or cool our homes with the push of a button. You know, that's why. And if you make that stuff more expensive through taxation, surprise, surprise, you make everything cost more. Now, I did want to give us a little tiny bit of a win here because I think it's important to take a look at the light. It sounds like we're going to get this exemption that we've been pushing for the Taxpayers Federation here, I think, for about 4 years. And that is farmers, like I just mentioned, use grain dryers, including propane and natural gas, typically, what I'm told. I don't need to tell you about farming. Okay, thank you. And so we were pushing for an exemption. And it's passed the House of Commons. It's in the Senate now. And so we're hoping that it gets rubber stamped. And so we know this isn't a win in the sense of if I'm driving my pickup truck, or if, you know, the trucker is driving his big rig, or Sally is filling up her minivan, you're all still paying the carbon tax. But this is one small win where we're going to get those farmers exempted for drying their grain from the carbon tax. So we'll take a win where we can. So there will be some slight relief there, but we want the entire thing scrapped. because this is just a massive tax grab and it does not help the environment. I have to pound this home because I was in British Columbia for much of my adult life. They've had the highest carbon taxes there since 2008. And guess what? Emissions keep on going up. Why? Because people need to heat their homes, they need to eat, and they need to drive to work. They don't have an affordable, alternative, abundant energy source they can switch to.
Oh, hey, what you just saw there is a clip from my weekly full-length show, The Gun Show. It airs on Wednesday, but this is the internet. You can watch it whenever you feel like. You just have to become a subscriber to our paywalled premium content. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com to become a member today.